Now we want to head to Washington, D.C. this morning, where Representative Polis from Boulder and Representative Gardner from Yuma are now ready to speak. Hey, guys, how are you?
Good morning. Doing great. Good morning.
All right, so let's begin right now with the payroll tax cut, because it seems perhaps there could be an extension, an agreement, a compromise on the horizon moving forward. Is this something you are both okay with?
Well, we're just seeing the details, and obviously it's hard to judge it before we see the details. My main concern would be, it looks like a lot of it's not going to be paid for. And so the real question is it better to do a tax cut that leads to more deficits, or is it better to tackle the deficit head on? So I tend to think we should avoid raising taxes on the middle class right now, so I'll be inclined in that direction, but I want to see all the details.
Yeah, and what I'm looking at, of course, are the details of the package. We have not seen them. I'm concerned that the payroll tax cut comes out of the Social Security Trust Fund, and I want to make sure that we are finding ways, if not in this package, in other ways, to make sure that we are keeping the Social Security Trust Fund solvent.
Let me ask you, Representative Gardner, because you voted against the 2-month extension last year because you wanted more spending cuts to pay for it. Why is it that now you and the rest of the GOP in the House seem to be resigned to let it pass this time and not fight it quite so heartily?
Well, actually, I never voted against the 2-month extension. In fact, what I voted for was the 12-month extension of the payroll tax cut. When it went over to the Senate, they rejected it and came back to the House with a 2-month extension where it was approved.
Let's talk about the Obama budget for just a moment, because I think something that is frustrating many Americans right now is the fact that Congress now for 1,000 days has failed to pass a budget. Do either of you feel at all responsible for the fact that you're not getting your job done out there ultimately?
Well, I think this is over 1,000 days since the Senate has not passed a budget. That's their duty. They ought to be doing it. The House has passed a budget last year. We'll do the same again this year. We are doing our duty, and it's up to the Senate to do their responsible act and make sure they pass the legislation.
Well, you know, it's not just one or the other. The House and Senate are very different bodies. What they have to do is get together to agree on a budget. If everybody's operating under a different budget, that's hardly a budget at all. And if there's one House budget, one Senate budget, one presidential budget, you're not even working off the same page. So in order to work off the same page, you simply have to have those hard discussions, get it out in the open, and say, look, it's compromise. We give a little, we take a little, but here's a budget we can all agree on that's good for our country.
Yeah, it seems finding that compromise is where the difficulty lies. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us both this morning. We appreciate it.